Memory is a selection of images, some elusive, others printed indelibly on the brain. That's how Eve's Bayou begins. And from that moment, you already know you're stepping into a story that not only feels personal, but larger than life. A story that doesn't just unfold in front of you. It kind of lingers and it pulls you in scene by scene and dares you to figure out what's real and what's just your mind trying to make sense of all the trauma. Welcome back, y'all, to yet another episode of the Cinematic Soul podcast. And on this podcast, we talk about films that shape Black cinema and honestly, that help shape us. Today we're talking about one that over the years I've learned to love a lot more. It came out in my younger days, but as an adult, this movie is one that I hold closely. Today we're talking about the classic, The Unsettling Waters of Casey Lemmons' 1997 masterpiece, Eve's Bayou. Eve's Bayou is unlike anything else, especially at that time. It's a Southern Gothic drama, if you will. And it's wrapped in memory, mysticism, and trauma. And it's one of those movies that whether you try to or not, it's going to stay with you. Especially if you watch it all the way through, because some stuff happens in this movie, man, where it will stay in your brain if you have that kind of brain. And I'm sure if you're listening to me right now on this podcast, then you absolutely do. So, Eve's Bayou. Here we go. Now, what makes this film so powerful? It's not just the stunning cinematography, right? It's the unforgettable performances from all the characters, or the way that it seamlessly blends Creole spirituality and real world tragedy. It's the way that it plays with perception and memory in a way. Eve's Bayou isn't just about what happened, it's also about how we remember what happened, because that's very important as well. In this episode, we're going to talk about the film's cinematography and how it plays with memory and truth and the weight of Jurnee Smollett and Samuel Jackson's performances, because let's be honest, Sam took on a very disturbing role that you have to be a certain kind of actors to be able to pull off. And he pulled it off very well. How did he stay sane? I, I don't know. We're going to talk about that later. Um, Also talking about the mystical elements of Mozelle's visions and how this film connects to another show I love, Lovecraft Country, and the similarities between that. And of course, we have to talk about the ending, because what do you believe? Do you believe Eve was responsible for her father's ultimate death, or was it fate? Let's talk about it. From the very first frame, Eve's Bayou tells us a story that isn't going to play out like a traditional drama, right? Casey Lemmons introduces us to a world through dreamlike imagery, black and white sequences, which I love, by the way, blurred movements, and haunting close-ups, in my opinion, because some of those close-ups, especially the ones of Diane Carroll's character, while they were intentional, they scared the hell out of me. Especially growing up, I was not a fan, but looking back, that's what makes this film so great. It immediately sets the tone. This isn't just a simple family drama, right? This is memory being pieced together, and sometimes memory can be uncomfortable. This film had a lot of color choices. There were warm golden hues, oftentimes, that give you that nostalgic feel, and it's almost like a photograph. Eve's childhood isn't all trauma, it has some lovely, beautiful parts as well, and they showed that in those colors. But as the film progresses, like often happens, that tone kind of darkens, right? When something's going on that we need to know is important, whether good or bad, that tone changes in the background, and the shots get more claustrophobic, right? The shadows become deeper, and the visual warmth turns into something that's unsettling on the eyes. And those close-ups, like I said, a whole storytelling device on its own. Casey Lemmons made us question perception. What is Eve really seeing, and what is her mind trying to fill in as best as she can? This is what makes the film so powerful to me. The fact that, in honesty, memory is unreliable. And while they don't confirm if Eve's version of the events are true, they let us kind of sit in that. We sit in that uncertainty and we make our own thoughts and have our own discussions about what we think happened in real life. And that's very bold and powerful to me. I love that aspect of it. A little bit about the director. As I said before, her name is Casey. It's spelled Kasi, but it's pronounced Casey. And Casey Lemons is an actress first because I'm sure if you all are film lovers, and especially black cinema film lovers, you've seen her face in numerous things. And one in particular is one that a lot of you don't know is her, but this scene became, when the internet took over, a very popular GIF, right? So there's a movie called The Five Heartbeats. And in The Five Heartbeats, she played a character named Cookie, who was the girlfriend of one of the, I guess, bad guy groups, if you will, leaders, Burn the Midnight Falcons. And she was the woman in the audience where, when they sang A Heart is a House and they broke it down, but she was in the chair kind of like screaming and squirming like, oh man, I'm kind of feeling this. That was her. That was Casey Lemons. And not only was she in that, but she was also in several commercials, and she made her film debut in Spike Lee's School Days, which we will absolutely discuss at some point. I guarantee you. But at heart, she was a screenwriter. She was a film director, and then she began to take on that role in her life. She's also directed films like The Caveman Valentine, and Eve's Bayou was her first film that she ever directed. She also did Talk to Me with Don Cheadle, Black Nativity, Harriet, and most recently one that I enjoyed, the Whitney Houston I Want to Dance with Somebody in 2022. I enjoyed that in the way she told that story. It's a story that we already know about for the most part, right? But she gave us a different view and a different lens, and I appreciate that. Casey is a director who I hope to still see more from, because while she's been around for a while, I think she has some more stories to tell, and I can't wait to watch them. Let's talk about these performances in the movie. In particular, let's talk about Jurnee Smollett. This was young Jurnee Smollett. This little girl carried the weight of the entire film at just 10 years old. The way she plays Eve is a perfect balance of innocence and also eerie maturity that some kids do possess. She's a child, but she also is growing up way too fast and forced to confront things she shouldn't even have to understand yet. Like her dad going to people's houses and making them feel better with her in the next room. That's crazy to me. Speaking of which, then there's Samuel Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson, as we should say, as Louis Baptiste. And man, what a role. What a role. Look, I don't know how he played this role and came out of it sane, like I said, because as an actor myself, there's certain things that really mess with your mental. You have to be like one of the strongest individuals in history to be able to come out of that unscathed. And this wasn't just, the loud, cursing, badass Sam Jackson that we know in other films. This was a somewhat quiet, charming, and also very sinister Sam. Lewis is the kind of man who seems perfect to the eye, right? He seems like a great guy to everyone but the people who know him best. He's smooth, he was respected, but he's also dangerous in a way that is terrifying because he can seem very normal. And his behaviors, to some, seemed very normal. The way that Sam plays him, it's not over the top evil. It's real. It's subtle. He doesn't act like a villain, which in a sense kind of makes it worse. That's why I believe this is one of his greatest roles, because while people don't talk about it enough, the skill and technique that you have to pull off this kind of role is second to none. And I tip my hat to that, because this one was powerful and scary in a lot of ways. Now, I said before that seeing this as an adult, I view it a little differently. And there's one character that I wouldn't say I love more now as an adult, but I understand and I want to know more about as an adult. And that was Mozelle, who's played by Debbie Morgan. She's a widow, and she's also a psychic. And one of the most fascinating characters, if we're talking about her overall structure in the film. She has the gift of sight, right? But the film asks, is it a gift or is it a curse? Her visions are shown in black and white, just like Eve's flashbacks, but it's also suggesting that fate and memory work in the same way, in a sense. The Creole spirituality in this film isn't exaggerated, it's just there. And it's woven into life, into their lives on screen, like it is in many black Southern families. But this film just goes a little bit deeper than we're used to. And then there's Elzora the fortune teller. Like I said, with those close-ups, Elzora's character used to scare the hell out of me as a kid, and I would always like turn my head on that part or skip the scene, even though I love Diane character. Diane Carroll as an actress. The way she played that role and her eyes told a story that I was not ready for at that time, but now I appreciate it. And as an artist myself, I respect it because you can tell she took her role seriously. While she wasn't a main character, she knew that this old woman is someone that people fear, but they still go to when they're desperate. She represents that thin line between fear and belief, between skepticism and trust. Legends, man. Legends all around this movie. Now, I want to talk a bit about Jurnee Smollett and how she just kind of keeps playing these roles where she has to fight through trauma, magic, messy men, and everything in between, right? We get to Lovecraft Country, which came out many years later, right around COVID time. And in Lovecraft Country, she played Letty. And Letty and Eve have a lot in common. They're both searching for truth in a world of lies. They both have to confront, whether they want to or not, some ugly and deep, dark family secrets. And they both end up caught between history, the supernatural, and their own survival. I think Lovecraft Country kind of took Eve's Bayou's themes and expanded them in a way. They made they kind of made racial horror, magic, and the psychological weight of Black history all play together. And I think that's pretty cool. And Lovecraft Country is just, man, I rewatched it for a second time. What was it, about a month ago? And when I tell you I love it even more, looking at it from a different lens, because at the time it came out, there was so much going on in my personal life, in the world. And also, when something first comes out, you don't just look at it from the view I look at it with now. You look at it as I'm just watching this show, trying to keep up, right? Because there's so much going on. But boy, is that an amazing show. You know, Atticus is, I guess, the chosen one, if you will, with the controversial bloodline running through his veins. However, many people like me fell for the show's formidable lead lady, and that was Letty, played by Jurnee Smollett. And it's obvious, right, why she resonated so deeply with viewers. Letty was, let's say, a tour de France, right, of passion and bravery. And she was a very complex hero in her own right. They could have easily made her one dimensional and just a sidekick with also an aspect of being nice eye candy. They could have just made her that. But they made her very complex to me. They gave her layers, they gave her character true meaning. And Letty has her own distinct purpose, her own distinct goals and motivations outside of her connections to Tig. She was a brilliant, empowering characterization that speaks to the necessity of having Black women formulate and tell our own stories, just like Eve's Bayou. Black women view the world through a different lens, and it's a lens that we need to make sure stays in our view because it's amazing in the end. Now, about that ending, did Eve actually cause her father's death, or was it fate? I think they refuse to give us a definitive answer. And I also think that's brilliant because it keeps you guessing. And when it can keep you guessing, you can keep the conversations going. That chapter won't be fully closed because you can say, oh, but this, oh, but that, or here's why I think he ultimately, you know, it keeps you going. And Megan Good, I just want to say salute to you for playing that role of the oldest daughter who, not to get into too many spoilers, but her and the father had some things. They had some things going on where we, when the subject comes up, it's kind of difficult to talk about. But it's also something that unfortunately happens a lot. And I know I bag on Megan Good a lot, about her not being my favorite actress and most of her recent work. But I feel like in this movie, at only 14, 15 years old, this was one of her best acting roles. Like, this was one of her best performances as an actress because the kind of weight that role had as well and the way she delivered it was amazing. So shout out to her for that. This ending meant it kind of forced us to sit with the unreliability of memory, the weight, the guilt that we have in our own personal lives, and the idea that sometimes the truth is whatever we need it to be in that moment. And that, my friend, is what makes Eve's Bayou a timeless black cinema classic to me. Now, if you thought Eve's Bayou was filled with layered storytelling and social commentary, boy, do I have something for you. Just wait till next time. On the next episode, we're diving into one of the most important black films in cinema history, in my opinion, and that is Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. With everything happening today, with our current state of affairs, the president, everything that we have going on, the racial tension, political debates, the question of protest versus action, this film is still one of the most relevant pieces of art ever made. So get ready because we're going to break it all down on the next episode. And I hope you guys, have your own thoughts or you have questions or you have things that you want to say. And if you do, you can send me a DM. You can write in the comments what you think about Eve's Bayou or questions you have on your own about Do the Right Thing or things that you want to talk about and Do the Right Thing. So stay tuned because there's always more to hear and more to see. Until next time, keep watching, keep listening, keep the soul in cinema alive, stay proud, and stay you. Peace and love, y'all.